Of Vitzivanu Maso B'divrei Torah. Hi. Oh, let's see. Happy faces. I am now going to look for a big smile. So tell me, Cindy, how was the Tu B'Shvat Seder?
I thought it was wonderful. Roseanne was amazing. I'm sure Risa told you that.
Absolutely.
The odd thing is only half the people who registered actually came.
Yeah.
That's not odd.
Yeah. Well, there are those of us who want to be on a list and don't want to attend. I don't know. I can't explain that.
They'll get the recording, but I mean, she just was wonderful. She made it very easy and understandable, and it'll be really great to see Rabbi Leder's book as a follow-up and different opinions on how to do it.
Yeah, this is on ethical wills, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing to do. So good Shabbos, everybody.
Yes.
Good to see you, Susie. How are you feeling?
Wonderful, thank you. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for asking.
Your arm and all that stuff, everything is
80%. I still can't put earrings on, and I still can't put my right hearing aid in. But see, this is as far as I can get to my ear. But we're getting there. We're getting there. Thank you for asking.
Sure. My God, not being able to get. I mean, if I couldn't get my earring in, I wouldn't know what to do. Yeah. Okay. That's nice.
I just have to comment on Eric's comment that Kol Tikva from Parkland, Florida is Berta's new synagogue, and they joined us for Tu B'Shvat.
Oh,
Nice.
and
I'm mentioning it because Eric just put it in the chat.
yeah. And Eric, we remember you in Central Synagogue. Absolutely, yes. Oh, everybody is gathering. Isn't that exciting? Okay. I'll stop being excited, but that's good. Though Jim is not here, I will announce that the next movie with Jim is January 29th. Just like that, those movies, terrific. And our second current events class will be on February 2nd. I had a really, really, really good time with the class this week, and we're going to learn better how to do it and everything. But it was great. And what I especially, I think, enjoyed is that we gathered new people, and that's very, very important. So please do remember February 2nd, current events. And the way things are going in the world, I promise you we'll have a whole bunch of new horrible things to talk about in terms of current events in the Jewish world. Sue Casa, I promise I will be in touch with you. The things that you want, I will do it. It's that I really hate doing it. I will let you know who I really am.
I think we know who you really are. I just want to see what's on the paper.
I'm not at all afraid of an FBI examination because what can they do? Put me in jail for life? But
Never.
No, but how much could that?
You would talk your way out.
Who said that?
Me.
Oh, what a lovely Shabbos. Okay, fine. Terrific.
That was a compliment.
Really? Okay.
Yes, it was a compliment.
Okay. I read the article by Bret Stephens in the New York Times op-ed. And I don't do this much at all, but Bret Stephens, as far as I'm concerned, wrote an absolutely brilliant article on anti-Semitism and what's going on in the Jewish world. It was in the New York Times sometime this past week, And if you have access to the electronic version, if you didn't get the paper, I really recommend it. And you know, if you want to bring to the current events class a challenge or question about what he had to say, but rarely do I read an article like that and find myself agreeing from the beginning to the end. And it was that good. It was that good. Any of you, others of you see it so far? Okay, yeah, okay. Terrific, terrific.
Is that Stevens with a V or a PH?
PH.
Thank you.
He's a definite PH. Does that have something to do with his acidity? I don't know. Okay,
It has to do with being able to look up the article.
okay. Anyway, I would love, even in emails, your private responses to that. We are, you know, it's strange. Here we are, we're going to be in Exodus chapter 19, verse 9 and following. And we all know that Exodus chapter 20 is the 10 Commandments. I mean, here we are very early still in the reading of the Torah, but I don't know if Mona would create in her plays the big reveal early in the chapters. Why are you shielding your eyes, Mona? I can't hear you, but I can certainly see that you're blanched out. Nothing personal.
The sun is pouring in the windows of Steve's office and the light is too intense for me.
Oh, could I do sermons on that? Ah, yes, the light was too intense. Yes. Okay, before we go forward, checking in, does anyone have something they'd like to share? How we're doing, how you're doing, weddings, b'nai mitzvah, babies, honors, books, publications. Oh, okay. You're gonna have to work harder on that stuff. We want good news next time.
I'll
good.
let you know after my granddaughters compete in dance today, to this afternoon and tonight.
Your granddaughter's what?
They're in a dance competition, so I'll let you know the good after they're done competing, which actually won't be till tomorrow night. So
Okay, that's good.
I will give you a good one though. My 9-year-old granddaughter won first place overall for the whole country in karate.
Whoa, a granddaughter?
Yeah,
That's a very dangerous thing. Okay.
it was pretty
Whoa,
amazing. So that's the good for this month.
that's
Okay, Sue, did you have your hand up? Yes, you do.
I just wanted to say that Rabbi Nickerson's Shabbat message was really beautiful. And I think if anyone, if you didn't see it, I know that it's in the archive. I see people shaking their head. He talked about kind of a modern version of the 10 Commandments and what it means to him in his life. And it's very appropriate based on today's discussion.
Right, and his stepfather passed away.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so we're gonna be Exodus chapter 19, verse 9 and following, page 474 in the updated Plout and 413 in the Women for Reform Judaism women's commentary. Now, just to start things,
Rabbi, what, say again, Exodus what?
how do I know? Exodus 19:9, Plout 474, WRJ 413. Now, as I started preparing for today, I knew I wanted to say something, and let's see, Effie, is he on?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, where's Effie? Oh, okay. Well, Effie, you can turn your video off for a couple minutes. Okay, thank you. The scene at Mount Sinai is not history. It's not an event that occurred the way it was described. And yet, when we read these chapters, we find an amazing mix of the embedding of moral necessities, ethical necessities, morality itself, combined with geopolitical realities. It's a fascinating combination. And what we're reading changed the whole world. It changed the whole world. Whatever the historical background or lack of historical background, the people who put this together were incredibly skilled. Incredibly skilled. And they wove a story which perhaps contains elements out of other cultures and other peoples, but they put them together in such a way that you are looking with these chapters at a revolutionary shift in the way human beings view morality. It changed the world. So even as we go forward and we read it, and we'll read about thunder and lightning and earthquakes and the voice of God and all those substantial aspects of the description, what we are entering into is a moral disruption which will shift the behavior, at least of the Western world. So it's an incredible privilege to be able to do that. I did mention in my Thursday double posting that I've been in congregations where the Ten Commandments, as they're read, the congregation rises. So the people are standing during the reading of the Ten Commandments. Now that was in an Orthodox synagogue where I davened in Jerusalem every week. But I also mentioned that Maimonides looked upon this as something akin to idolatry. So that was fun. Ray sent us a flower. Is that a poppy? Are you selling cocaine? What is that, Ray? I'm sorry.
I'm just responding to Tamara, responding to me. I shared that Brett Stevens link to the and so she says thank you, and I say you're welcome.
Oh, okay. I thought you were
an implicit thank you for her constant contributions to this wonderful Chevra.
Oh, okay. I just thought you were sending me a flower. Okay, now
happy to do that too. You've made some contributions yourself. I'm being facetious. You've made central contributions, and we are very grateful. Shabbat shalom.
Keep talking, Ray. Keep going.
I'm digging myself in deep.
The hole is getting deeper and deeper. So that's fine.
I'm out of here.
Okay, verse 9. And the Eternal One said to Moses, I will come to you in a thick cloud in order that the people may hear when I speak with you, and so trust you ever after. And part of a conversation I've been in this past several weeks is the nature of darkness and what is darkness. And is darkness always a frightening place? And why does God choose to appear in a thick cloud? A thick cloud. Is that designed to disguise God? Or maybe, like with Mona, to cut out the extra light that God is going to be shining into the world so that the people can have a chance? What do you think about it? Why does the author portray God as appearing here in a thick darkness? Why? What do you think what's going on? Okay, Ray, I see you and I see Merle. And Steve.
Thank you. And now I have something substantive to offer. So thank you for your
I can't
patience.
hear you, Ray. You're speaking from a pit.
Okay, is this any better?
Okay, fine.
So the dark cloud, I believe a important
Where is he?
way to understand the dark cloud is that the dark cloud basically is a kind of a qualification and a boilerplate apologia for the inadequacy of text and narrative to begin to evoke God. So I think whether it be a literal dark cloud or whether it be a sort of literary device for us, I believe the dark cloud is a disclaimer at the beginning saying anything we have to say to evoke God, God's aspect, the word of God is already clouded before we even begin because we are unequal to the task. So accept from the get-go that everything God is coming to you as best as we can through a cloud, and that's just the way it is because that's the best we're able to do.
Thank you for that. Really, really, thank you for that. Okay, Merle, Steve, and then we'll go to Effie.
I think because we refer to darkness as frightening, that dark cloud is God's way of saying you better listen to me. And that's God's only way of showing whoever God is. It's like, you know, it's almost as if that dark cloud is a threat, as dark clouds can be a threat.
Wow. Okay, that's a slightly different perspective. Okay, Steve, Effie, then Tamara.
I started almost the same place Merle does, but interpret it differently. Darkness was the scariest time for people in those days, and they didn't have a lot of artificial light. And I think God appearing in that and addressing the people in a kind way lets them know he's a protector and they should put their faith in him. And it's by coming at them that way, it's in an environment where they would be more afraid and come away being comforted is a way to establish faith.
We're really, this is terrific. Effie.
I think that he came in a cloud because if he came in person or she came in person, the brightness of the Lord would be so dramatic that people couldn't look, and he had to disguise himself in a cloud.
Thank you. Okay, Tamara, then Kevin. Tamara, then Kevin.
Okay, I have a slightly different angle. I looked up the word, the Hebrew word av, and it actually means thick. When we look at where it's used elsewhere, it is typically associated with rain clouds. So it would be, I think, in a place like Israel, it would actually be a good sign rather than darkness. It will be a sign of promise of rain, which is always a blessing. So it may actually be a different symbol.
And Tamara, some of us speak about darkness as being generative. That's a private joke, kind of like thing. But again, rain is generative.
Yes.
And when you speak about the choshech, the darkness, which is not the word here, it can be that, but very, very interesting that av, I'm gonna default on a Hebrew word. Can a thick bough, B-O-U-G-H, be referred to as a bough, as an av? I think so. Av. I have to check that. Okay, so fine, Kevin. Thank you, Kevin.
Okay, when I think of a cloud, I think of it being overhead, sort of like a rain cloud, as opposed to down below like a burning bush. I guess it says that you can hear the cloud as opposed to see the cloud. So you think of a dark cloud being something you could see, but it says you could hear it. So it's like, thunder and lightning. But when I think of a dark cloud, I think of, a rain cloud that's like really dark, that's going to have thunder and lightning. So, but I mean, I'm just wondering why it says hear as opposed to see.
Yeah, well, yes, the rabbis will go into, when it talks about the kolot of Rakim, when it talks about the thunder and the lightning and all that, and the text does say hear when you would expect see. And it is, the rabbis love it. Lots of good sermons flow from that. Ray, please. Or Carrie, I don't know which one.
Yeah, it's me. Hi. I was thinking that maybe it was like an inverse relationship between light and darkness. So God is light and he's visible as a result of being cast through a dark cloud. There's this silly thing in Disneyland that they had, it's a show that they would cast the images through rain and mist. And they ran the movies through this rain and mist instead of on a wall or something that you could see, to create contrast. And so maybe for contrasting purposes, he appeared in a cloud.
No, that's great. You immediately put me into a Kabbalistic notion, which I don't know if you intended to, but you did, because the notion of redeeming sparks from a shell is very much part of what the Kabbalah is attempting to enable us to do. The little sparks, if you will, of divinity encapsulated in shells, and in the darkness there is hidden the light and the darkness, the cloud. And yes, terrific, thank you. Okay, I see Brad, and I see Sue.
Sue, why don't you go ahead?
Just a quick comment that if you don't have the use of a sense, for instance, if somebody's blind, their hearing tends to be sharper. And in this instance, the message and hearing the message is more important than seeing God. So by not being visible to people, he forces them to focus on his message, his words.
Nice.
That's really nice. That's really nice. Yeah, it's kind of like those Japanese sensory deprivation beds or whatever, that at this point, one sense sharpens, everything else kind of like beautiful. Oh, we're doing well. Okay, I see. Okay, Kevin, you back up? No, forgot about it. Brad?
Okay, so I wondered if it wasn't sort of a reminder to the people as they're wandering through the desert, taking the long road, a reminder of the ninth plague, the plague of darkness. And as they doubt, this is a constant reminder of Egypt to them and what they've left, and to recall what it was like as a motivator to keep going.
Cloud as sugar. Yes. Okay. Now it's Ray. Carrie doesn't. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. In Genesis 1:1 to 1:3, we see the darkness as a metaphor for nothing, and through the light, there was creation. Here we have the creation through the passing of the cloud. We have the creation of law, ethics, and morals. This is a creation scene just like we saw in Genesis, I think.
I am so happy. What a morning. Okay, I think I've run out of hands, and we can move past the first word and begin to get further into the text, which is lovely. The Eternal One said to Moses, I will come to you in a thick cloud, not dark, of thick cloud, in order that the people may hear. And now I'm just reminded, I'm in a thick cloud. Stop trying to see, focus your one sense on hearing. I love it. I never viewed it that way before. And now here at the end, we see God not being able to foretell the future. Poor God has an expectation and it doesn't work. I will come to you, people will hear when I speak with you and trust you ever after. Poor God, it didn't quite work out. I think for the next 40 years, the people were not thoroughly trusting of Moses at all times. I think that we give God credit for a good faith effort, but it didn't quite work out that way. But when God wants to validate Moses, what does God do? God shows the people that God is in touch with Moses. And that validates Moses's role. Okay. People always will challenge Moses. And I'm just wondering, going back to that other thought, that when we really learn to hear, ongoing revelation is possible. When we really learn to hear. There's so many things of which we are not consciously aware because we are not listening, not with our ears, listening in a holistic way or seeing in a holistic way. We in some ways are blind and deaf even while we are hearing and seeing. And it's a great concept. It's a great concept, so that we could even say God's voice is available. Now, I haven't seen the movie Don't Look Up, but I am going to see the movie Don't Look Up. I know the reviews are poor. Fine, but I want to see it because it is a parable about climate change. And when people are told to look up, there is a meteorite coming, or something like that in the movie, and other people are saying, stop looking up. Keep your eyes down on the ground, go forward, everything is going to be fine. Don't look up. Disregard what is possibly available to your eyes. And that way you can continue to live comfortably in a fake world. And you can live with denial. It makes it very easy. Don't look up. And God is available when people sharpen their vision and sharpen their hearing. And I believe that. Now, I want you to feel very, very, very jealous. I prepare for this day very seriously every week, spend several hours, even though I know the text really well. So I found a text last night that I had never seen before. Ibn Ezra writes about this passage the following. Please know, I am not espousing this position. I am quoting Ibn Ezra. Egyptians and the people of India are both descended from the son of Noah, Ham, or people might say Ham, Ham. Ibn Ezra, living in Europe, has decided that the people of Egypt and the people of India, pretty far away, are both descendants of Ham, of that son of Noah. Ibn Ezra goes on. Why he got to this, I have no idea. But he wants then to say, and the cultures of Egypt and India are fundamentally the same. Where they began to differ, said Ibn Ezra in this weird commentary, is when the Muslims came in and changed Egyptian culture. I don't know whether Ibn Ezra felt maybe he was uncomfortable one day, decided to take a slam at Islam. I don't know. I don't know why he did this. Totally strange. What did the Muslims change? They said, according to this weird Ibn Ezra, that no one can hear the voice of God and live. But Egyptians and Indians originally believed that you could. And now here is Torah saying, yes, you can. If someone is doing a research biography of Ibn Ezra and ever gets back to me with why he decided to connect India and Egypt and all this to prove a strange point, I would love to hear it. I don't know. But I am now comforted to know that the original Egyptian culture and the original Indian culture are quite similar. Fine. Okay. Now that's Ibn Ezra. So the point he finishes up with is Moses had to wean the Israelites from their connections to Egyptian culture, because in the Torah, in the Bible, God can speak to people and people live. So you will see later that as the revelation occurs, what do the people do? What do the people do when revelation starts? They wanted to hear God's words. They wanted to hear God straight, mipi hagvura, right from God's mouth. But what happens when God starts speaking? The people fall back, some die, whatever it is, they begin screaming to Moses, Moses, how about you talk to God and we're going back here because we can't handle this. And Ibn Ezra says that this is a challenge for an emerging religion to state a position. You can hear God and live. Steve Miller, a hand.
It says you can hear God. I agree with that part, but God didn't speak to the people. God spoke to Moses in a way, one time only, when the people could hear, so that thereafter they would understand that God was giving them, that Moses was relaying God's word. But God, as I read this, only spoke to Moses.
Well, at the very, very, very beginning, apparently, God, he may have been speaking to Moses, but it was in the hearing of the people.
Right, but that's to establish Moses's authority and credentials so they would believe him, and that God would always speak to Moses, but God wasn't saying, I can speak to all of you. I'm going to convey my word through Moses, and I'm establishing that relationship so you will listen to him.
Do you remember? I'm going to lose the movie. You want the truth, you can't handle the truth. Where was that? That was a trial.
A few good men.
A few good men.
A few good men.
A few good men.
Thank you. A few good men. This very big thing. You want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Jack Nicholson.
Great. Yes. Jack Nicholson is still living in this very large, isolated former hotel, and there's blood coming out of the elevator shaft. I know that. Okay. Now, the people want the truth, but they can't handle the truth. They can't handle it. And so they say to Moses, from now on, God speaks to you. Now, in this process, the commentators are endlessly involved in trying to create metaphors to explain the communication between God and Moses. Was it God spoke to Moses darkly through a mirror? One struck me as very interesting. Sforno said, God sometimes spoke to the prophets as a reflection in a mirror. But he spoke, God, not he, God spoke clearly to Moses face to face, person to person. The image I liked of, you can't look at me directly, but if you look at the mirror, you will see a diminished experience of me, and I can speak to you that way. Or, as I like to believe, and you know I believe, and Anne Rice died this year, and it's a terrible loss to literature, but vampires cannot see their images in a mirror. But that's a whole separate issue. Moses, Jewish tradition is claiming an exclusive moment when there was no barrier between the divine and the human. Moses spoke with God. Moses spoke with God. Abby Barron came in later, and it's good to see Abby, and Joseph Perling is here, and it was just people are coming in. Donna is here, and she has her hand up. Yes.
Good morning, Shabbat Shalom. I wanted to ask about speaking to God. Rabbi says that when we sing, we pray twice. In this modern day, I know the Lord spoke to Moses through the bush. I believe through rainbows and nature, butterflies. I believe that God, there are angels, and God, we can literally in our prayers, when we go to shul and we read the Torah, that we are speaking to God with the way we live our lives.
I find that interesting because I'm reminded of the psalm and the passage which is in the prayer book. Ma gadlu ma'asech Adonai ma'od amku machshavotecha. How great are your works, O God, Thoughts are very deep. And when the person is writing that out, what is being said is, I am opening my eyes. The great acts of God have always been there, but oh my, I've allowed myself to be open to this experience, and I am seeing now in a way that I could never see before.
Yes, Rabbi.
I'm not seeing anything new, but I'm seeing it with more openness.
May I say something real quick about this? I did a demo tape 30 years ago, somewhere with a rainbow. And coming back from Malibu for my COVID test, there was a rainbow in the sky.
Yes. Yeah. I have other rainbow stories. Yes. 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 Kevin, please.
Yeah, no, that was a great point that I wanted to elaborate on, that after a rainstorm or a dark cloud, there is a rainbow. And I thought that was something I should say.
Thank you, Kevin.
Have you had that experience of being impacted by a rainbow, Kevin?
No, I mean, I love hiking and going through rain, and then all of a sudden when the rain goes away, there's rainbows. It's just, when God is speaking with a dark cloud, he talks, and all of a sudden, the talk is over and the rainbow would shine light on what he said. I mean, that was basically what I wanted to say.
I think somehow there's something about this text which is uplifting our use of metaphor. And I think it's fabulous. I think it's fabulous. You're doing great. You're doing great. Okay, we're going. And God said to Moses, I'm going to come in a thick cloud. So the people, and I'm going to always think of it this way, having given them nothing to look at, they will be able to hear more clearly when I speak with you, and so trust you ever after. Then Moses reported the people's words to the Eternal. What Moses reports to the people, to God, is that the people said, we'll pay attention. We're there. We're ready to listen. And the Eternal said to Moses, go to the people and warn them to stay pure today and tomorrow. Let them wash their clothes. This is 19:10. Talk to me about, okay, I see Merle. Yes, Merle, and then Kevin. Okay, Merle.
I was just
Kevin. No, Kevin.
Back to the rainbow thing for a minute. I don't think I've ever been affected by a rainbow, but what I've always thought of a rainbow after a really bad, devastating rainstorm, which we have every year here, I look at as the rainbow is that it's the storm is over and things will get better. So I kind of think, things will improve once we've seen that rainbow.
And that, of course, is part of the story of Noah and the ark and the rainbow and the promise.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, well, that's my job.
Oh, thank you for thinking for us.
Yeah, right. Okay. Now, in verse 10, the Eternal said to Moses, tell the people, and the text says, the translation, the Eternal said to go to the people, warn them to stay pure today. In Hebrew, there are two possible translations. The Hebrew is v'kidashtem. And you hear the word kedusha, you hear the word holiness. So tell them to be pure, okay, or be holy. And it also means, in Hebrew, it's possible to read the same word as and be ready. and be ready for tomorrow. Let them be ready for tomorrow. Tell me about being ready for revelation. Talk to me about that. Mona, who's no longer bleached out. Yes.
I think there's a sense of self-preparation in getting rid of obstacles, blocks, petty thoughts. I think it's similar to doing meditation. You have to get rid of the noise, all the white noise, and be prepared to go to a different kind of consciousness. So I think the readying process is similar to that.
Great. Yes. Get rid of the white noise. Mona, is it okay to say empty yourself out so that you can be ready to receive?
Oh, I think so.
Oh, okay. Empty yourself out. Be ready to receive. Part of that means if you're not ready to receive, you won't. I think we could go into a discussion of love the same way. If you're not open to receive love, it's very hard to receive love. If you're not ready to perceive the possibility of God communicating through metaphor, signs, whatever, if you're not ready, it doesn't happen. Okay, I have Effie, I have Ray, I have Eric. Okay. Effie?
Well, we do that. We did that today. We started to study the Bible, the Torah, and the first thing we did was what? We said a prayer.
Yes.
To get us ready to what we're about to do.
And I think that's part of the deal with putting on tefillin too, Effie. That you begin to get rid of the Mona's white noise. I'm putting on this tefillin. It's not that I need to be wrapped in leather. It's that I need to be able to understand that right now, this is where I'm supposed to focus. Okay, that's good. And then was it Carrie or Ray who was there?
It's Carrie.
Carrie. I recognize you, but I don't know who raised their hand. Okay.
Yes. So the Midrash in the Chumash says that readiness, according to Rashi, it means that the people were to prepare themselves for the revelation, since Moses explained to the people that this meant they should avoid sexual intercourse, implying that the preparation was to avoid spiritual contamination.
Boy, could I get into trouble by going where you have just opened the door.
Oh.
No, go ahead, Rabbi.
Well, thank you. Yeah, this is being recorded so that I'm in really big doo-doo. I am reminded of the time when professional athletes, even not professional athletes, were told to avoid sexual intercourse before a big athletic event because that will drain their vital whatever. And they will not be able to perform on the field as they would want. I'm going to have to suggest that people have trouble figuring out how to deal with their less than rational beings. And still deal with significant matters. The commentaries all agree that part of the preparation was to avoid being with women. That if you had sexual intercourse, you would simply not be able to be pure enough to be in the presence of God. Eric, and then Mara, Kevin.
Oh, before you put software into the computer, you have to format the disk into partitions to accept the ones and zeros in the binary code. You know that you have to prepare in order to prepare. You understand what I mean? I don't have to repeat it, but you have to prepare your hard drive and your thumb drive and all those drives to accept the data.
I'm not being totally self-referential today, but on the other hand, Eric, you're totally correct. I am trying to deal with Apple and clearing up a major glitch in my recording system. And I am astonished to be in the presence of people who can drill down into the core systems, which all have to be in place before everything works. You are totally correct. The systems have to be in order. You have to be ready. Yes, Kevin.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, I'm just confused with the phrase, let them wash their clothes. It sort of means that they're not allowed to wash their clothes on a normal basis, or they're not allowed to go to the stream, or I don't know if there's a stream, or they're supposed to be working, like building huts or building things, and the boss is supposed to say, no, you don't have to work today, go wash your clothes. I'm just wondering, what that means.
Okay, in verse 10, and thank you that v'chibsu simlotam. I could just as easily have translated that, and they should wash their clothes. The word let is confusing. Okay, and I give you that. The Hebrew could be a jussive, a form of a command, let them, in the sense of go do it. Now I'm going to speak to Mara. Mara, where are you on my screen?
Here.
Oh,
I'm here.
hi, Mara.
So,
no, I wanted to add something, and then I will give you yours.
Oh, okay.
Washing their clothes was understood in the 19th century by Musar specialists
To be a woman's task.
who believed that let them wash their clothes really meant they should get their midot in order. And that just, it's a wonderful thing. But now midot meaning the qualities. But please, Mara, your question.
I look at this whole passage as partly a warning about having intermediaries between us and God, particularly when I see that God says that I come so that the people may hear. Moses says, be ready against, meaning all the people. Moses says, be ready against the third day, come not near a woman, which I think implies that men are preparing themselves. And so it begs the question of, if the people listen to God, then it's all the people. But if Moses gives instructions, women are excluded. Unless the warning is against women not to come near women as well.
That's a lot to think about. I'm going to try to respond briefly. The experience of revelation, according to many commentators, was available to all according to their abilities. There is that caveat in there that people heard differently based upon their abilities. And those of us who've done some teaching know how people receive to the extent of their abilities. It's sometimes, God forbid the comparison, how do I explain this to the kids? And very often the right answer is, say the simple truth, the kids will understand what they're able to understand. And the other filtering they're going to do. Am I to accept the notion that the women were not privy to revelation? No. Everyone accepted it differently. Tamara, you're going to have to help me on this. The statement of the men staying away from their wives doesn't include, and women should stay away from their husbands.
Right. One way to understand it, well, first of all, it's not God who says it, it's Moses, as was pointed out. So the intermediary adds this. This is the verse that Judith Plaskow used to write her really groundbreaking work on feminism and Judaism. And she used it to argue that women appear to have been excluded, and the traditional reading is that that does not mean that God clearly speaks to the whole people. So the language, one way to bring it together more to the traditional ways to say it's only warning the men, because the men are more likely to misunderstand things. It doesn't mean that women are necessarily excluded. It's just the women don't need that warning. Women understand what's coming and they're going to just be there. But men may confuse that opportunity and they have to be warned. So that's one way to try to dig ourselves out.
Okay, I'm going to go to, I see Penina, Sue, Merle, and then we're going to have to stop. So let's make this brief. I'm sorry, but here we are.
Okay, I look at it as pshat. Pshat means simple. After the cloud came rain. Otherwise, they couldn't have washed their clothes. They didn't have water otherwise. So the thing is also that washing calms you down. Like somebody who is sometimes in a frenzy, you say, go take a shower to calm down. So the thing is that Moses says, okay, now you see, you had the cloud, so that he knew what was coming after clouds. You know, clouds brings rain. Now they have water. Look at it. How can they wash their clothes with no water? They're in the desert. So they must have reached a point where there is water or rain. And now go wash your clothes. Calm down. Get ready for Shabbat. Get ready for the rest of the journey. You have an opportunity. Get clean. It's simple.
I'm so happy today. This is so good. Okay, I see Sue and Merle. Sue?
Quickly, I think the washing your clothes is just a metaphor for getting ready.
Right.
In all senses. That's the first. And the second, which nobody's brought up, men tend to think with their hormones more than women. So I think that that's part of getting ready. You should focus, rather than focusing on having intercourse with your wife, you should focus on your spiritual self to get ready to meet God.
And that goes a little bit with Penina. Calm down. Calm down. Down. Okay. we have to end so very quickly. I see Merle, I see Brad, I see Tamara, and we're going to stop. That's it. Merle, yes, please, Merle,
So
Brad, Tamara.
This. So you made the comment about sports people being told, not to have sexual relations before an event because it would deplete their ability for whatever their sport is. So if it's a mitzvah to have sexual relations on Shabbat, then wouldn't that deplete their ability to celebrate Shabbat appropriately?
Love it. Only later before.
You can think about that. I don't need an answer.
I have to end this class. We have a requirement. That's a great comment. And I'm going to say that the whole, I'm coming up with this. The whole experience of Shabbat is the unification of the people with the Shekhinah. So it's all a sexual encounter. Oh, I came up with that. It's
good one.
That's pretty good. Okay, I'm going to hold with that. We have to end quickly. Brad?
Well, real quickly, Rabbi, I guess I'm the only one that's troubled by all of this because I keep asking myself, why is God making it so difficult for us to have a relationship with him? Why do we have to prepare ourselves to have a relationship with God? Why do we have to work through an intermediary? Why isn't God more imminent to us? Why does he make it so difficult for us to have this relationship?
That dumping on God is a dangerous act. Okay, I just want to point that out. I'm not going to respond. Tamara?
Just quick, in 19:3, in verse 3 of 19, God says to Moses, speak to the house of Jacob and to the children of Israel. In traditional Judaism, house of Jacob is always the women, and Bnei Israel, children of Israel, is the man. So that in traditional Judaism, it's always been understood that men and women were at Sinai. And by the way, that's why many women schools in Orthodoxy are called Bet Yaakov or Bes Yaakov, because that means the house of Jacob. And that is reference to women, so that the tradition sees explicit inclusion of the women at Sinai.
Okay, Sue, did you still have your hand up? No, okay, fine. We're going to have to stop now. I think we're going to have to commit to being together for another few years because the stuff that happened today was incredible. Just incredible. Okay, we are going to shift now, with your permission, to Kaddish and to mention the names of those who have passed away during the past month. Steve Astrakhan, Ron Berman, Beverly Feinstein, Robert Joseph Flicker, John Harris, Rita Horn, Ken Quenner, Annette Henkin Landau, Stephen Leventhal, Yvette Mimieux, Joyce Austin, Arnold Seidel, Ruth Green Stamler, Suni Sun, Steve Tolkien. Yortsites that have occurred during the past week: Miriam Adler, Amiram Carney, Shirley Bensol, Amy Rose Block, Morris Brooks, Florence Burrows, Helen Cacciato, Tom Carr, Michael Chait, Abe Cohn, Corey Colford, James Butch Colford, Barbara June Cowan, Irvin Deutsch, Leo Eben, Rose Antorno, Frida Feinstein, Irving Finkelstein, Esther Fischler, Yetta Frankel, Fanny Freisieben, Minnie Ethel Friedberg, Regina Friedman, Robert Friedman, Herman Garden, Abra Glaser, Martin Glotzer, Lawrence Goldbacher, Nathan Goldberg, Carl Goldenberg, Eva Greenfield, Marvin Green, Roberto Greenberg, Edward Gurney, Alvin Hamburger, Sidney Harris, You're adding, Donna, Marilyn Bergman, Margaret Hartnett, Jane Hirsch, Harold Hoffenberg, Myrna Horn, Marvin Howard, Gertrude Kaplan, Morris Kaplan, Orna Kaplan, Sidney Leonard Kaplan, Howard Kaufman, Marion Kopolov, Jeffrey Kraut, Sarah Kraut, Anna Lederer, Louis Leon, Max Levin, Samuel Levy, Joseph Lubin, Benjamin Maltz, Sidney Maturin, Erwin Michelson, Eunice Michelson, Arnold Mittler, Alexander Nash, Michiko Nickerson, Amanda Einhorn Pearl, Bernard Flug, Alice Pollitt, William Price, Rona Bierman Pullman, Lillian Rappaport, Ella Reese, Myra Reifman, Selma Reinstein, Anita Repol, Harry Rax, Patricia Oppenheim, Levin Rice, Martin Henry Ross, Margot Rothstein, Rollo Rubin, Judy Rudman, Javier Salinas, Stuart Schlig, Henry Seidman, David Schaffer, Lillian Shamist, Ella Sherman, Leroy Solomon, Regina Solomon, Raymond Stanley Spiro, Marilyn Sprung, Bruce Stark, Jerome Stayer, Hayward Tamkin, Florence Victor, Burton Woolner, Adele Weinstein, Dina Yarmus. If there are names that I have omitted and you would like mentioned, please say them aloud now or speak them in your hearts.
Moshe Hecht.
We mention as well and call to mind those who died in defense of the United States, those who died in defense of the state of Israel, those who died through acts of senseless terror, and all those for whom there is no one to say Kaddish. We will join together now as we recite Kaddish. Yitkadal, Yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah, Bialma Divra Dute, Malchute, V'chayechon of Yomechon, V'chayechon Beit Yisrael, V'agala Vizman Kariv, Amen. Yehi Rabba Mubarach, Le'olam Le'omei Almaya, Yitparach, Yishtabach, V'yitpa'ar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar V'yitalal, V'yimei Kurisha B'richu, Le'ela min kol birach hata v'shivata, Tush b'chata v'nechavata, Dami Bandi Alma V'imru Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba min Shemaya v'chayim. Amen. Oseh Shalom V'imromav.
Say shalom. I know.
V'al kol Yisrael. V'imru Amen. May God make peace in the high places. Make peace in our hearts. Make peace in our homes. Make peace in the household of Israel. Make peace among all the families and nations of earth, and let us say,
Amen.
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 my friends, it's always beautiful. This was beautiful. This was a beautiful day. Thank you very much. Love you.
Thank you.
Have a great week.
Love you. Bye,
Stay
Mara.
healthy.
Thank you.
Stay
Thank
healthy.
you. Shabbat shalom,
Bye,
everyone.
Carrie and Ray.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Bye.
Shabbat shalom.
Bye, everybody.
So the community disperses. I love it.
See you next week.
See you next week. Have a great week.
Hi, Susie.
Shabbat shalom. Hi, Effie. Have a beautiful day.
Same to you.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow.
You bet.
See you tomorrow,
Hi,
Howard.
Barbara. Hi, Barbara. I love seeing you. You look great. You look really good. Have a beautiful day. Shabbat shalom. Hi, Pania. Have a beautiful day. Shabbat
You
shalom.
too.
Thank you. I love our Torah group. I might not say much, but I sure love you. Bye.
And we all love you.
Thank you. You inspire me. Absolutely inspiration. Feels good. Shalom.
Shalom. Chavarim shalom.